All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome to another video tonight. We're back-to-back days on this channel, which means we're so back. Woohoo! Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. I've been waiting to make this video until the Euros and the Copa America was over because of the importance of this video. And this video, yes, you can tell by the title, it's about Ballon d'Or. We are going to be talking about the award. It has turned into quite the PR award the last couple of years. I will say that. And other than that, I'm going to miss this sunlight because I'm recording this video at night. I'm going to miss this a lot. When it's 4 p.m., I'm going to really miss this. Anyways, we're going to be talking about Ballon d'Or. There are some new rankings that have been posted. Honestly, there's not going to be much impacted with these rankings because the way this award goes, I mean, it will be going on into the fall, but to be honest, it's going to take something crazy to really move around the rankings too much. Players can definitely jump a spot or two, but if there's a player down at like 13, they're 14, 15, most likely they're probably not going to make it up to number one. We're going to talk about a couple things and just, let me know who you guys think should win the Ballon d'Or. Obviously, I wanted to go through this with you guys. The last couple of years have been honestly messy pretty much until you go back to 2017 with Ronaldo. Luka Modric won it in 2018 with Croatia, had a lot of votes that year for it. Griezmann finished third that year. Messi got first in 2019. That was probably the closest Ballon d'Or voting we have had in a really long time. The Lewandowski year was really close too. VVD, in my opinion, in 2019 was a little unlucky not to win that one. I thought he was just so crazy that year. But it's obviously very hard for non-attackers to win the award. Even Modric in 2018, that was very hard to do that. But what he accomplished that year with Croatia was nuts. And then 2020, we look at that year. I thought that was the year that Lewandowski was probably honestly robbed. Bayern Munich was just so unstoppable that season. It's really a shame that because of COVID they canceled the award. They probably could have found a way to still do the ceremony or do something online with everybody was in Zoom classes and Google Meet. I don't think that should have qualified that to not be given out. So Lewandowski, in my opinion, robbed that year. Messi won the World Cup 2022. I personally last season I don't necessarily have a problem with that. He wasn't obviously the best at PSG, and made the move to the MLS after that, but it's so vital what happens on the international stage. So, I mean, it's understandable for me. Benzema in 2022. People will hate on that year, but man, that was one of the crazy seasons we've had. And then we go back. It's a lot of Ronaldo. It's a lot of Messi for the longest time. So, we're going to be talking about these rankings tonight, and let me know what you guys think about them. So, these are top 20 Ballon d'Or rankings, updated post-Euros. Now, something I'm going to comment on with these rankings is that what do we really take into account? Because, if this award is given out to the best player in the world, I think there's a couple players that you could just say right now are probably the best overall players in the world. And those guys would be Vinny Jr. I think those guys would be Mbappe. I think Yamal is really getting close to that. Like, he's not there yet, and we don't want to overhype him. But the way he controlled the match at this Euro was scary how good he is, right? So he's really good. Rodri is insane. And then, you have these other ones where you're like, oh, is it a team award? So it's this award is really a combination of a lot. It's stats, and it's also combined with what you accomplish at the club and specifically international level. Haaland last season had the most incredible stats, and Messi wins the award because of what he accomplished at the international level. So a lot of people don't like that because really with Haaland, all he missed out on was not the chance with the international level, really. And Messi went ahead and won the World Cup and did what he did. So that's really just a precursor with that. Look, I'll be real. I think Rudy right now is the best center back in the world. So to see the best center back in the world down at 19, especially just with how he played last season, I do think that's a little low for him just looking at this list. I just feel like that's a little low. That's just how I feel. I feel like him and then Saliba are the best two right now that I've seen. Yamal at 18. I think he's deserving to be in this conversation. Xhaka at 17 ahead of him. I know Leverkusen had the season they had. I'm not sure I would go that, but Xhaka definitely this season was, we could say, a top 50 player in the world. Musiala at 16, incredible. I think had a couple really good games at the Euro. A decent to good season at Bayern. I would like to probably... I still think Yamal is probably ahead of him on this ranking, and Rudy potentially. Now, look, I'm a huge Musiala fan. I'm just going to be objective here. I'm trying to not be biased here. This is where things get interesting. Now, Kane's down to 15. As we were heading into this tournament, Kane was in the top 5. Look, you can't have Foden or Kane anywhere close to the top 10 with the way they played at that tournament. I'm sorry. That is such an important part of this ranking. Odegaard at 11, I don't I don't even I don't get that. Okay, so my problem with this ranking so far is that Lautaro Martinez is at 13. Lautaro Martinez after this summer, in my opinion, should be in everyone's top 5. Everybody's top 5. I believe Serie A top scorer, wins the league, most goals at Copa America, won Copa America. There's more you can add to the collection. He's done a lot this season, generally for team and individually. He's been nuts. And in Copa America, I believe a couple of those games, he didn't even start. He came off the bench and was scoring. So he went crazy at that tournament. I was really impressed by him. I got to see him live. I thought he played incredible this season. He had a really good year. And look, a lot of the questions with Lautaro was him showing up in big matches, and he really did. So he really played well this summer. I thought that was good. Florian Wirtz, obviously with this season he had, it's understandable for sure. But yeah, 14, I mean he's not going to be up in that top tier. Saka and Odegaard, I don't like that for 11 and 12. I think we should be probably looking at I don't like those two ahead of Lautaro and Rudy specifically. I think it's too low, and yeah, that's just my thought right there. Although I thought Saka was probably the best player, or at least one of the best players on England at this tournament. So yeah, Odegaard, I mean, I don't know about that. Now we got the top 10, and we have Haaland at 8. Now I understand that Foden got Premier League Player of the Year, and I understand that, but just in terms of this award, and look, he's at 6, he's not going to win the award. That's too high for me. Like, I can't have Foden at 6 and Yamal at 18 and Rudy at 19. I'm sorry. There's no way. I know he accomplished what he accomplished this season, but this video is my opinion, and that's really what I think. I can't unsee what I saw at this tournament. And I know they got to the final, so there's that weight of the team award, which is probably still keeping him up there, but they're downgrading Kane a lot, and they're downgrading Saka. Kane, if we're going to go statistically, probably should still be higher up here with the stats he produced this season. Valverde at 7. Uruguay did decent. He played well. And, Real Madrid. Carvajal at 9. Look, if you want to go by the most winning award here, Carvajal is probably in a lot of people's top 5. I personally wouldn't give Carvajal the Ballon d'Or just because of what he won, but he was a very important part of both of those teams. I still don't think he's the best player in the world because of it. Haaland at 8. He had a better season the last season than this season, and then Nico Williams at 10, which is crazy. But obviously, him and Yamal were just so dominant in this tournament. Spain overall were so dominant. Let's see the top 5. I just screenshotted these, didn't really look. So this is where it really gets interesting, and this is where a lot of people watching this video are going to have their opinions. So, yeah, by the way, it's crazy to see now with Mbappe at Real Madrid just how Real Madrid run this leaderboard. So we've got Vini at 1, Rodri at 2, Jude at 3, Mbappe at 4, and Toni Kroos at 5. So this is the updated top 5 ranking. It's a tough one because of what, with what happened with Brazil. But I think the way that it happened with Brazil, where Vini had that match ban where he couldn't play, I mean, that doesn't, it's one of those where it would have really secured it if Brazil did a lot better at this tournament. Because look, there's a lot of people that are saying that this is going to be the worst Ballon d'Or winner ever. But there's a part of me that, in terms of just watching the game overall, to see how good Vini is now, is insane. He was such an important part of them winning that tournament in the UCL this season, and just generally what he cooked this season. I remember seeing Vini in the first season with Real Madrid, and what they were saying about him just as a footballer, and what we were watching. He was so poor at so many moments in that season, and he was obviously this hyped up future star. But just to see how he's developed and how hard he's had to work to get to this level now, I'm not gonna look at this list and say that's not deserved. Look, if for me as a fan of football, I think if him or Rodri won the award this season, I'm not gonna be mad, either one. And look, I think odds wise, it's gonna be pretty close because Rodri has won, obviously, the Premier League, and won the Euro with Spain. And then Vini did not win Copa America, but he won the Champions League and was a huge part of it. So what's going to happen there? And obviously, Rodri had that crazy winning streak this season. And just, dude, the dominance of Spain, what we see over the years a lot of the time, whether you like it or not, is that international runs this award, right? Messi wins because of international, right? 2022, we didn't have I don't know what we had. That was an off year, right? So that was an all UCL year. 2021, I think that was the Copa America year. that Messi won Copa America. So obviously that helped him a lot over Lewandowski, even though Bayern still had a good season. Lewandowski had one of the best goal-scoring seasons of all time. I think Lewandowski would have won this in 2020. So we just go back over the years, even Modric with Croatia, those Euro seasons for Ronaldo really solidified it for him. So we just look at all these rankings for most of the time, and a lot of it is international. A lot of it. You know, they're obviously with the prime Spain and all that, it was closer with the Ballon d'Or, but even then, that's probably one of the only exceptions. So we look at this overall, and if you want to be objective with what's happened this season, what's valued more for this award? Is it the UCL or is it the international outcome? And obviously a Euro and a Copa America is seen as a major tournament. So if you're going to go by that lens, you'd probably say that Rodri would win this award with how they have the top five. Him or Vinny, I'm not against it. I think Vinny would be deserved. I'm not against Rodri winning either, because I think he's the best. I think he's the best midfielder right now, and I think he's insane. A lot of people would sit there and tell you that he's just fouled his way and passed sideways to this award, but I would really disagree with that. He has been so important. The one thing about Rodri that people seem to really underestimate, the amount of clutch, crazy long shot goals this guy scored for City and just generally in the last year or two has been insane. His ability to just strike the ball and get a goal out of nowhere. Jude Bellingham at 3. I don't want to see Jude win this award this year. I know he had that crazy goal at the Euro, and I know you guys will say the PR and all this, and obviously the season he had at Real Madrid was unbelievable this season. Unbelievable. Like, for actually a couple weeks, I thought he was going to win it. If England won the Euro, I would have said I'm good with it. Like, if Jude's going to win it, or, you know, Jude probably wins it. If England won the Euro, Jude was going to win it. Let's just put it how it is. That's the importance of the international award. Mbappe at 4. I think Mbappe, it's tough to say he's not the best player in the world. The tournament he had, the broken nose, it just didn't help him. Still at PSG, so he's not going to win this year. And then Toni Kroos, obviously the last season for him, played incredible. Like, literally had like 2 games of the Euro where he completed 100 out of 100 passes and just was Toni Kroos. If you watched the UCL with Madrid and how they won just this whole tournament, and you saw how Germany was cooking, bro, this guy, every time Toni Kroos is on your team, they cut the ball back from the wing and they play it to him. He turns out and he pings a perfect 50-yard pass to the right side every time. And then that player is wide open and goes 1v1. If you watch tape of Toni Kroos, it's crazy. So I'm not against him in the top 5. I think when we look at this rankings, I'd like to see, Rudy and Yamal a little bit higher. I know that maybe some people will argue the Leverkusen disrespect, but at the end of the day, they had the craziest season ever. Yeah, the craziest club winning streak, but they didn't get it done. They lost the Europa final, and it was ugly too. The way Atalanta cooked them, they just ran out of steam. And I think probably overall in the level of the international, Wirtz had that very impactful play against Spain. I thought Xhaka was maybe a little bit more impactful with Switzerland. They had a really good run. I think Lautaro Martinez is probably deserving to be higher up in this list as well. So I think Lautaro, in terms of even the 6 to 10 rankings, I'd like to see him above all those players. And then we could start to argue, do we think Lautaro should be 3? Do we think it should be Vinny, Rodri, Lautaro, or Rodri, Vinny, Lautaro? With Jude still in that top 5, maybe Mbappe drops out. I'm good with Toni Kroos in the top 5 because I think Toni Kroos really deserves that from this season. But I think I would probably knock down Mbappe out of this top 5, even though, you know, it's tough. You sit there and you look at it and you're like, Mbappe objectively, though, when he's healthy and, you know, he's on it, he's the best player in the world. So, you know, Mbappe's one of those where we're all going to be shocked if he doesn't win a Ballon d'Or at some point in his career. But it's going to be so interesting now because we're kind of getting to those prime Barca vibes where this Madrid team is nuts. I mean, they're going to have Vinny, Jude, and Mbappe all going for Ballon d'Ors. So it's crazy to see. What do you guys think about the ranking? What do you guys, what's your order? What's your top 5? What's your top 5, guys? What do you think? Let me know. Peace.